Might surprise you to hear that across the country, doctors have been taking ownership stakes in medical device companies. That means they get a cut of the profits for the hardware they put into patients. It sounded to us like a potential conflict of interest, so we decided to look into one of the most troubling cases. Jeff Glor is here with a CBS This Morning investigation. Jeff, good morning.
Charlie, good morning to you. The case involves a spine surgeon named Arya Sabat. After just 17 months, he became the subject of 28 malpractice suits, as well as state and federal investigations. Much of the attention has focused on the devices he often used. They came from a company with no public phone number, website, or listing of its owners. We now know one of its owners was Dr. Sabat himself. And critics say these kind of arrangements encourage physicians to perform risky procedures simply to sell more hardware.
The old verbiage, your mother can light up a room. It was just an easy feeling around her and just a smile that was just unmistakable.
Kevin Reynolds says his mother, Lillian Callback, spent her life taking care of everyone else until she could barely take care of herself. By the summer of 2010, Callback developed debilitating back pain. She was referred to Dr. Arya Sabat in Ventura, California. What did he say?
Just basically to the point that, I can help you. We have some lower back surgeries that's needed, and let's go ahead and schedule you as soon as possible.
He said this within how many minutes of seeing her?
Probably 3 to 5 minutes.
Even though people like Callback have a higher risk of complications, she was 68, overweight, and diabetic, Dr. Sabat performed a spine fusion, screwing together 4 of her vertebrae. Within days, she developed a life-threatening infection.
A support team of the hospital, an independent team, asked me not once, but twice to pull the plug on her. They couldn't do anything. I said no.
Lillian Callback never walked again. And 7 months after the surgery, in May of 2011, she passed away. Reynolds is now suing Dr. Sabat for wrongful death. And one of the biggest questions centers on the screws and rods he used to fuse the spine, which came from a company called Apex Medical Technologies, LLC. CBS News has learned that Dr. Sabat owned 20% of Apex. From May of 2010 to August of 2012, his share of the profit was about $330,000. Reynolds claims the financial incentive caused Dr. Sabat to do a riskier procedure than necessary, so he could put in more hardware. A single screw like this can cost $100 to make, and it can sell for $1,000.
I don't think he would have worked on as many levels or possibly did that type of evasive surgery.
Did he ever say anything to you about having an ownership stake in this company?
No, sir.
Court records show Callback's case is one of 28 brought against Dr. Sabat for his work at Ventura's Community Memorial Hospital. At least 10 of the suits involve Apex implants. In the 7 months before Dr. Sabat became an owner of the company, he did 115 spine surgeries. In the 7 months after, he did 154, a 34% increase. Dr. Sabat chose not to give us an interview for this story, citing pending litigation. But in a deposition, he claimed he simply had more cases as he became more established.
As time went on, I got more and more referrals. And so by June of 2010, the wait time to have surgery done by me was probably around 2.5 to 3 months.
Physician-owned companies now supply an estimated 1/6 of spinal implants nationwide. And today, the Inspector General of the Department of Health and Human Services is releasing a long-awaited report. It finds the hospitals these companies serve average 28% more spine surgeries. Dr. Scott Lederhaus and Charles Rosen are on the board of the Association for Medical Ethics. Both spine surgeons. They say they've seen many patients harmed by physician-owned companies. They took all this hardware out of just one of them.
So you can see that there are 22 screws here. There's these long connecting rods that were used to connect each screw up and down the spine.
None of that hardware was necessary?
No, I've done patients with similar problems, haven't used any hardware.
Over the course of a year, how much extra do you think these doctors are making?
I think the guys that are being egregious could make, just from putting in the implants, perhaps on excess of $500,000 each per year.
Doctors are not supposed to be salesmen.
You think this turns them into salesmen?
It absolutely turns them into salesmen. They are retailing the screws after buying them wholesale.
No one from Apex would give us an interview. but a spokesman claimed none of the suits allege unnecessary procedures. In fact, at least 8 of the 10 plaintiffs we identified say they will allege unnecessary procedures, though no one's claimed the implants were defective. In depositions, Dr. Sabat has denied the allegations. He charges that his former medical group encouraged patients to sue so it could fire him and avoid paying his bonuses.
I think it's pretty easy to just extrapolate a little bit and say that the lawsuits would not have occurred had they not.
Dr. Sabat has sued for wrongful termination. He also blamed a non-sterile operating room for patient infections. And in a deposition, the CEO of the hospital, which is also being sued, defended Dr. Sabat.
The vast majority of cases that Dr. Sabat did were appropriate.
Do patients understand what's going on here?
Absolutely not.
I think they should ask the doctor what equipment they're going to use and if they're a member of a physician-owned distributorship. Are they selling this equipment? And if they are, I think they should get up and walk out as fast as they can.
The Office of Senator Orrin Hatch tells us the Justice Department is investigating whether Dr. Sabat's ownership stake in Apex led him to perform unnecessary procedures. Last month, the California Medical Board accused Sabat of negligence in his care of 5 patients. It will decide whether to revoke his state license after a hearing. For the time being, Dr. Sabat is still practicing in Michigan.
Jeff, do they provide just spine implants or other types as well?
It's not just spinal implants in this case. Sometimes knee, hip, cardiac implants in some cases, but the folks who are worried about these physician-owned distributorships focus mostly on the spinal implants because they say so many of these procedures are unnecessary. Dr. Lederhaus and Rosen say that if you go to a doctor and he says you need a spinal implant, get a second opinion.
All right, Jeff, thank you.